Having trouble getting to sleep? A couple of tips from your friends at the focus group.
They're all business, except when they're not. It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Welcome to the Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. TFG Unbuttoned is our Tuesday podcast. You can find out about that and this show at thefocusgroup.com or focusgroupradio.com. I'm sorry, the Focus Group is actually our Facebook and social stuff, right?
Yeah, some of it's Focus Group Radio.
And some of it's the Focus Group.
Right. Then that Bulwark stole our show and logo, by the way. They use the same logo font and everything's the same.
Why not? You know, that should be. Tim's talking about another podcast called The Focus Group that started up like about a year ago or something, and it's just eerie how similar the logo is and everything. I guess it's a what is that line? You know, imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Yeah. Except when
some call it copyright infringement or stealing, but
yes, that's what I would call it.
We'll call it flattery. Anyway, focusgroupradio.com is our website. You can learn about us and our partner, including Deep Discount, who we'll be visiting with later in the show. So here we are in August as we slide into the end of the summer, right? It's just weird that it's like, you know, we talked about this last week on the show, how fast the time goes, the whole bit.
We had a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of storms. Did you get a lot of storms?
Yes. We've been dodging a lot of the worst of it, to be honest with you. Like it will go to the south in Jersey, or if we're upstate, it will go to a different area. But yeah, we've had some tree damage, and here in the city, it got pretty bad yesterday. But yeah, it's just the summer. Hey, do you remember? I don't know if you remember this or not. Back in March, I think it was. I forget what government. It was OSHA or the Oceanographic, whatever the weather bunch, NOAA. They were like, you know, the East Coast or the Northeast is going to have a wetter than normal summer. I kind of ignored it because we had all the heat early in the whole bit, but it has been wetter than normal. Right?
Yeah, it was horrible. We had horrible rains over the last couple of days, but yeah, it's I don't know. The weather patterns just seem to be so odd lately, but maybe it's just we're paying more attention to them.
I don't know. You and I talk about this all the time when we were kids. You know, we had ice storms, snowstorms. We had a lot more winter than we have now, especially in Connecticut. Hey, here's one for you. I went to the mailbox the other day, upstate, and I got a package from our friend Billy, our listener Billy, and it was a Blu-ray disc of a movie called Jumper. And it stars Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars movies. And I suspect this is why Billy sent it. I have to send him a thank you note. But it's funny because it's one of those movies that the premise is that Hayden Christensen has the ability to teleport himself anywhere he wants. So he jumps all over the world. He jumps into bank vaults and steals money. He'll jump to the top of the Great Pyramid and hang out for a little bit to chill, something like that. So it's a movie I've actually never watched. I've seen 4 or 5 clips from it. So I thought I'll have to pop this in and report back to Billy. I think it's 2008.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I love when that stuff pops up in the mail, like, oh, thank you.
Have you seen Barbie yet? You going to go see it?
No, I've heard amazing things about it. I had lunch with my friend Ed yesterday, and he saw the movie. And I said, what'd you think? He goes, I loved it. And I said, well, you know, there's a lot of pushback because of, I guess, Ken and the patriarchy and all this, you know, all the right-wing talking points. And we both laughed because we were like, you know, Ken as a doll was always an accessory to Barbie. It wasn't like he was the main thing. He was something you bought, like with the camper or the dream house. You got Ken, right? Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't. And my fear is this was the last time I remember hype like this was for the movie The Sixth Sense.
Yes.
Sixth Sense. And you know, I went in there and figured it out in 3 minutes. I was concerned that there's been so much hype about it that I will come away with, what's the big deal? Because there's been so much hype about it. But I guess I'll probably watch it from my comfort of home. I don't know. If
Oh, so when it hits video, hey, it made a ton of money at the box office.
one of the $1 billion movies.
Yeah, and everybody I've spoken to or heard from said it's a fun film. Definitely watch it. And then Ed turned me on to a music video by Troye Sivan, a young singer. And I think the video is called Rush. And when it starts, there's the word Rush across. It's like a short film, but it's a music video. But the Rush is actually the logo from the Poppers bottle.
Oh, God.
And when you watch the video, it's sexy. It's a lot of things. And at the end, I watched with Bob the other day on the computer, and at the end of the video, I said, "This is the right wing's fever dream." When you, because it's kids drinking, playing, having sex, partying, and you're like, "Oh, this is why this is." Yeah.
How was the song?
I like the song. The song was terrific, actually. So no complaints there.
I'll have to look that one up. I haven't heard that one. I've been digging through old music, and so I was on an Elton John kick for a little while. We'll see what happens.
Not a bad kick to be on. We bought Yellow Brick Road. It was remastered or something, and I remember my sister Lisa playing that nonstop when it came out. And to listen to it again, you just realize what a talent, right?
Right. Well, there's so much of that 70s, late 70s talent. They were really spectacular. I mean, Heart's another one that comes to mind. I was on a Heart binge for a while, too. Ann and Nancy Wilson's voices are incredible. But, yeah. So, no, I got to try, what's it, Troye Sivan.
Troye Sivan, Tryoesivan, Troye Sivan. It's called Rush. Just check the official music video. Check that one out. I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Cool.
It's for the kids.
Tim,
it's for the kids. So if you're new to the show, we do what we just did. We catch up, banter a little bit. We have a segment called Caught Our Eye, where we look at Tim and I each bring a news item to the table that might interest the other one. Usually they're never the same. We visit with our partner Deep Discount, take a quick break. We have the business birthday of the week, the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays, and then we wrap up with a shop talk. And this week, it's a one about trying to get to sleep faster and easier. A lot of people have trouble falling asleep when they get into bed at night, and there are a couple reasons why, and so we'll help you navigate that. But to get things going, Mr. Bennett, what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
So mentioning music, I saw this, you probably saw this, it was pretty well publicized last week.
I actually did not see this, so I'm curious to hear about this, yeah.
So it's singer Taylor Swift, who is on tour currently, but she decided to thank everybody that was involved in the production. Now, I'm sure other people do this, but she certainly made an effort to do it, and in some cases, the effort is life-changing. So it says, on Wednesday, sources confirmed that Taylor Swift, who is in the midst of selling 6 sold-out shows in L.A. recently, has given bonuses to the crew totaling over $55 million. She's given bonuses to everybody, the dancers, the riggers, the sound techs, catering, among others, everyone who's worked on this massive show. They said the pop megastar 33 also presented each of the tour truck drivers a $100,000 check. So if you were driving one of the big 18-wheelers or one of the big trucks that drives overnight to move the concert from one place to another, they said the drivers opened up the check. She had done a handwritten personal card to each person with her wax seal on it. And when people opened them up, they thought maybe it was $1,000 or maybe it was $10,000. They just couldn't believe that these were $100,000 checks. They said in many cases this was life-changing for these folks who are on the road, 24 weeks away from their family at least. It's grueling work. And this $100,000 could help towards college, a down payment on a house, or paying off a home, or college tuition for kids, that sort of thing. So kudos to her for taking care of everybody that made her trip a success. They said she realizes without everybody, the whole team working together, that she would never be able to put on the show she does. So good for her.
Tim, do you think... how does this work? When you hand somebody a check for $100,000, right?
Yes.
There has to be tax ramifications, right?
It says it comes with a corresponding tax document.
It did come with a tax document, and so they'd have to declare it as either a gift or winnings, I suppose. Is that?
Yeah, and I guess it would depend on your tax bracket, right? So I guess you would give it to your accountant and figure it out. So it's either going to be, if you made 50,000 that year and you got 100,000, it'll be $150,000. I guess would be your income, unless
Okay. So
a gift
it's
is handled
being
differently. I don't know.
It's being
how.
classified as a bonus, though. You said that, right?
That's how she classified them, yeah, as a bonus.
Okay, so that's salary then. So at the end of the year, so if this were like, if you went into, let's say you walk into a casino and you hit the jackpot of a slot machine and you get
Right.
100,000, immediately the casino either will hold it for you, or they give you the special form for the IRS. But I think 50% then goes to the government because that's winnings. But this is salary and bonus, which is different.
Yeah, I guess everybody's tax bracket will be different. Regardless, I guess it's
Hey, it's
really
not a bad problem to have. If you get 100,000 and you put aside a little bit for the tax man, and the accountant says, "Here's what you got to pay," and you pay it, you're still ahead, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So I thought that was a nice story and a feel good story about someone taking care of all the folks that make her show work. So
I agree, and she's known for that. And I observe her. I think not only she's an incredibly talented musician, but she's a smart businesswoman, isn't she?
yeah, there was another story too, which I didn't know which one to do. I liked the idea of her compensating the folks, but there's also a claim that she created an earthquake in Seattle.
Oh,
So-
yeah, they
so many
had
people dancing.
seismologists.
Right, they had 2 point something on the Richter scale. Now, I was going to say, have they been to a B-52s concert, they'd probably felt the same thing. But
Yeah, that would have been a higher number probably.
so, yeah. So Taylor Swift, good for her. So
There you go. So what caught my eye is literally something that caught my eye. It's on a news article. I was walking down the street going to Rockefeller Center, and there was a bunch of girls with their parents, dads and moms, and they all had these rectangular pink kind of backpacks on. And from a distance, it was like, it could have been like, I thought maybe it's like a little knapsack. Maybe they're like brownies or Girl Scouts or something. But as I got closer, it became apparent that what they were carrying on their backs was American Girl dolls. Now, any parent who happens to be listening, or aunt or uncle, understands the cult of American Girl. In fact, sometimes you have parents who say, "Oh, we avoided that whole thing. Like we never mentioned the names to our daughters or things like that." So as I got closer, it's this reddish thing, this red backpack with pink straps, and they put their doll in it, and there's a cutout, like a plastic window for the doll to look through. I'm walking along, and there's all different dolls, and there's 7 of these girls, and they all got the things on, and they're all excitedly talking to their mom and dad about what accessory they're going to get. They're naming their dolls by the names that all the dolls are named, like Amelia or Kathy or whatever. The American Girl store is literally up the block. It had moved. It used to be on Fifth Avenue. Now it's on this 52nd Street, I think, and near Rock Center. But I kept getting struck by the fact that it looked like the girls were carrying caskets on their
Oh
backs.
my God, John!
Because it's if you're watching on the YouTube video, it's a rectangular case that fits the doll, only the doll, maybe 1 or 2 accessories. And then I thought it looks like a cryogenic suspension pod from a science fiction movie. I mean, it looked like everything but a backpack for a doll. And I thought, my God, guess what they charge for this thing at American Girl? If you want to carry your doll around on your back, guess how much you got to pay for that?
I'm going to say they're $99.
You're a little over by it's $36.
Oh, okay. What's it just little?
It's just
Vinyl.
it's just nylon bag with a zipper and a window for the girl to have that dead eye stare through.
So
And if
she's
you're
got that right. So she's in the plastic. So you'd suffocate your kid if you put him in that. I'm with you. I'm surprised they didn't do more like a papoose or something for the back, right? Where the kid, you see those things where the kids are out loose, because here. You might get the idea, put your little baby sister in there, zip it up, and then they're going to suffocate.
Yeah, it just, I slow walked. I was behind them until they all crossed the street and excitedly darted into the American Girl store. And this just brings back memories of when I took my youngest niece, as a birthday or Holy Communion gift. I forget what it was, to the American Girl Cafe. And the maitre d', the GM, the maitre d', everybody spoke to the doll. They didn't speak to you like, "What are you having for lunch today?" And the menu at the American Girl Cafe for the doll, you could order the doll shortbread cookies and tea, It was like $10 or $12, and they actually bring a little miniature tea thing and cookies to the table, and they put it in front of the doll, and you're paying for it. That was a crazy day. So that's
So these kids must have been coming from a birthday party or something. You think?
You know what?
Everybody
it seemed
went and
more
got
like
to get an American doll. Or
the story that I invented in my head was this group of kids and parents. They were on a pilgrimage. Because they had the special carriers, the coffin carrier with the window. They were on a pilgrimage to the American Girl store. That's the story I invented.
That's your story. Yeah, they probably came from North Jersey or Southern Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Probably some sort of birthday get together or something. That was my guess. That's all I would go with. And everybody got to get an American doll and a carrier.
You know, when we were kids, like I had G.I. Joe, I had Major Matt Mason, I had my Matchbox. The only thing I ever carried in a case was my Matchbox car collection because it actually had a carrying case. Remember the vinyl case and the trays you could put the cars in? And you would go to another friend's house, you'd play Matchbox for a couple hours, put your trays back.
You're right. That was really the only thing that had a carry. I'm trying to think if there's anything else with a carrying case. I don't think so.
Not Tonka trucks, no. You know, like I'm thinking boy stuff, of course, but it's just Barbie probably had a doll case of some sort, maybe for all your accessories and stuff. I'd have to look that up.
I don't know.
But there you go. The American Girl coffin carrier is what I would call it, in air quotes. That would scare parents away if they started calling it that. Anyway, as many of you know, our partner here on the show is Deep Discount. We'd like you to go to their site by going to ours, focusgroupradio.com, and clicking on the Deep Discount logo and start shopping away incredible deals on, of course, movies, TV shows, but also books and records and toys and games. They pretty much have anything you're looking for there. I find stuff all the time. In fact, it's probably not the best place for me to visit because I'm always finding something I want to get. So what did you pick? We have a sale this week. I'm sorry. And I love this sale. It's the Cult and Indie Film sale. And Tim, when I started going through the Cult and Indie Film collection, like page by page, I don't know if it was like you. I could have picked 20 movies easily. There's a lot of great films in this collection.
Yeah, there are, and a lot of them I think we picked in the past too, on some of them. So I this week picked Best in Show, and anyone who's a fan of any of the Christopher Guest work, or if you were a fan recently of White Lotus with Jennifer Coolidge, and a number of these, Waiting for Guffman was, I believe, the first one. I always love this one, Best in Show. It was originally released in 2000 and released here in DVD or Blu-ray. And for under $20, for only $11.09 just for the DVD. But if you want Blu-ray, it's about $15. But it's about the wacky world of show dogs and everybody getting ready across America for the Mayflower Dog Show, and kind of this tongue-in-cheek comedy of how the different characters represent. And it really is a very funny, I think, smart comedy, I guess.
Eugene Levy has 2 left feet.
You're right.
You know, it's brilliantly done. And the Mayflower Dog Show is basically a stand-in for the Westminster Kennel.
Yeah. Kennel Club. I love where Jennifer Coolidge is with the old man. It's almost like, what was her name? Anna Nicole Smith with the old oil tycoon. But she's sitting there. We have a lot in common. We both like soup.
Do you know that when they shot some of these films, like Best in Show, Guffman,
The Mighty Wind was the one about folk music.
Yeah. The mighty wind is blowing. They allow the actors, since they're all like ensemble, to do a lot of the ad-libbing. So there's a script, but apparently Christopher Guest encourages them to kind of live the character and go off it. Speaking of Best in Show, you know, it stars Parker Posey as well.
Right.
She plays a neurotic dog owner who their dog loses its stuffed toy called Busy Bee. Remember, where's Busy Bee? Parker Posey has a house up the road from ours in the country, and we were out talking to a tree guy on Saturday to get some limbs cut off, and there's a woman walking up the road, and Bob waves. I wasn't really paying. Bob goes, "Oh, that was Parker Posey walking by."
I wouldn't know her.
You almost want to run up to her and relive some of her lines from Waiting for Guffman, because in Guffman she played a Dairy Queen. You know, you got your Flurry, you got your Blizzard, remember? Excellent pick. It seems like you and I were in a comedy state of mind, because the pick that I had from this sale is the docket. Well, it's a mockumentary, a lot along the lines of Best in Show. We were really like psychically connected to him. The movie's called What We Do in the Shadows. The original release date was 2014. It's about a house of vampires, and a New Zealand film crew comes in to shoot like a reality documentary. And these vampires live in the modern world, and I think they live on Staten Island. I'm saying that I think they do because this movie triggered an actual show on FX. Yeah, it's a series now. I think it's 4 seasons.
One of Matt's favorite shows. Do you watch it? Matt
we
loves it.
fell into it. We didn't watch it too quickly because there's a new season coming out soon, but we loved it. I think it's hysterical. We literally almost cry laughing out loud. And again, it's the House of Vampires on Staten Island. And it's all that stuff that they do with that reality stuff. The camera moves. Sometimes you know. So this one's really just quite amusing, and
I just love the House of Vampires in Staten Island.
Oh, Staten Island, I think, yeah.
There's a lot of monsters on that island.
And we have a new release this week, and the new release is called Fast X. This is part of the car driving saga. We all know about it, starring Tom Toretto, who's played by Vin Diesel, and his family have overcome impossible odds to outsmart, outnerve, and outdrive every foe. So you have people like Jason Momoa. You had Vin Diesel, and there was a star of this chain that passed away sadly in an accident, and I think they dedicated the movie to him. But have you ever watched any of the? It's like the Fast and Furious franchise.
I watched the first. I watched the first Fast and Furious, and then all of the kind of sequels. I guess afterwards, I have not. And but it's just I think for a certain age kid or guy that seemed to like this stuff, it's a pretty popular franchise. Oh,
insanely choreographed car chases.
Yeah.
And just stunts that you wouldn't believe. So I think that's what the movie really attracts. Is like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. But
yeah, lots of boy racer stuff. So as John mentioned, there's a sale going on right now. Cult, is it Cult Classics? Is that
Cult and Indie Films?
Cult and Indie Films. I'm sorry. And at deep discount, you can get there by going to our page, which is focusgroupradio.com. Click on the deep discount logo and start shopping away. Again, it's the Cult and Indie Film sale. I had picked Best in Show, which is a favorite, typical cult film. John picked What We Do in the Shadows, which also spawned a very popular series on FX, so be sure to look for that as well at deep discount. And the release this week is Fast X, and so be sure to pick that up as well. And we appreciate you shopping. I just got an email from someone who went and purchased the Looney Tunes compilation I mentioned a couple weeks back.
Was that the Platinum Collection?
Yeah, someone had said they had listened to the show and they had purchased it, and they had let me know they had gone through Focus Group Radio, so we can get credit for it. So thank you. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a shop talk for us about ways to help you. One thing you can do to help you sleep better, at least. We'll see if we agree. Take care. Stay with us.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Now back to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Available pretty much everywhere.
Welcome back to The Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. Focusgroupradio.com is the website. You can check us out there, and also be sure to listen for TFG Unbuttoned. If you're liking us and you subscribe on an audio platform like Spotify or iTunes, you're probably already getting it. So enjoy. And without further ado, we have a business birthday for you.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So, born August 9th, 1881, is Clarence Saunders. Clarence Saunders, I'm sorry. What did I say? Clarence. That's a It's like Lawrence. Clarence Saunders, born August 9th, 1881, died at 72 in 1953. He's the father of modern retailing. And they said he was an American grocer who first developed the modern retail sales model of self-service. His ideas had massive influence on the development of the modern supermarket. And then he worked for most of his life trying to perfect the truly automated store. First, he developed Piggly Wiggly. Then he developed a store called Key Doozle and one called Food Electric. Now, when he was asked why he developed Piggly Wiggly, where the name came from, he said, just for this reason, so you would ask me. He thought it was...
Wait. That was the genesis of the name of the store?
That's what he said, yeah. So you would ask me. So they said he invented the Piggly Wiggly stores, which were primarily in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to shopping, so when our great-grandparents or grandparents shopped, I think, you would walk into a store and you would see the clerk and they would go back and find the things for you. And so what he decided to do was to replace where the kind of upfront store counter was with checkout stands where there would be clerks there, and essentially took all the inventory from the back of the store and put it on shelves in what he called one continuous shelf, so that people could go in there and see everything they had. They said it also allowed him to show 4 times the amount of goods or brands that other stores could do, because he had everything out there in the open. So this also allowed for quicker service because you didn't have to wait in line for the clerk to get things. And he essentially introduced the shopping cart. So before then, if you think about it, there was no shopping cart. The continuous aisle, refrigeration for butter and dairy. He had no meat. A big thing at the time was you were given a register tape at the end of your sale. And it also spawned impulse shopping. So they said he patented this idea and began franchising the Piggly Wiggly stores. And within 5 years, they had sold over $5 billion worth of merchandise. What happened was he tried to corner the market on Wall Street, and the New Yorkers didn't like his game very much, and they essentially bankrupted him and put him out of business, shorted the stock. The stock was worth a huge amount of money. He tried to play a game on Wall Street with cornering the market, and they shut it down. And so during the Great Depression, pretty much lost everything. He did, though, start another franchise called Key Doozle, Keedoozle, which was essentially an automated store like a large vending machine or an automat. So you would go in there, you would see things you want within a glass cabinet, and then you would have to place the item kind of on a conveyor belt, and then it would come out. But the conveyor belt would break down a lot, they said, after they punched the tape. So that didn't really work. So then he went and tried, right before he died, he developed Food Electric. And Food Electric was the precursor, or the predecessor, they said, to self-checkout. And so the store operated all automatically. The customer would collect the groceries, wrap them, and act as their own cashier. So it eliminated the checkout crush and cut overhead expenses. So he had that store he said it could handle $2 million in volume with only 8 employees.
Wow.
And so the first store was located only a few blocks from his Piggly Wiggly. And but that didn't necessarily catch on either as a full concept. But we know self-serve now is very, very much indeed important. He also, as a sidebar, was the very first person to use advertising, newspaper advertising, to campaign for a political candidate. And it was in Tennessee. He was campaigning for a particular person who was acquaintance, and he was able to run positive and negative ads in the newspaper, which has not been done before. So he kind of spawned. We have him to thank for that as well. So, Clarence
A couple
Saunders.
things. Clarence Saunders. Okay, so earlier you were using the term self-service, and what that really meant was up until that point, you would actually go to a grocer and give them a list, and they would walk back and forth and get everything off the shelves, right?
Yeah, if you watch Dennis the Menace, you'll see that. You know?
Yeah.
So they walk in, and that was the 50s, that was 60s. But yes, you would walk in with your list and say you wanted flour, or you wanted 2 oranges, or you wanted, a can of soup, and they would go back and get the things and bring them up. And so what he did was let the people. He essentially said, "I moved the stock room into the open." So rather than having people go in the back and get the things, he put it all out and then let the people choose. And that also allowed larger selection because he could just stock the shelves with multiple things, right? So not just one brand of something.
That behavior of you picking your own stuff out. You still had to go to a cash register, but then he evolves the idea of self-service into self-checkout.
Self-checkout, right? Yep.
It's because the world accommodated his vision and everything. You know, the shelves were filled. Now you could check yourself out. And when you mentioned Piggly Wiggly, every time I hear that name, I associate it with the movie Driving Miss Daisy.
Yes. Yep.
Because she would have Hoke, her driver, drive her to the Piggly Wiggly, which was a very Southern thing, right?
Yep. And the other big thing about that story they mentioned as a sidebar was the use of pink. Pink was very important for a color.
Pink.
Piggly Wiggly's design sense. And
That's
he
right.
built a huge pink mansion in Memphis, which is now a museum. But he got the patent. He got a broad patent in the U.S. for the self-serving store, and which is essentially what Piggly Wiggly was as a franchise. And then he moved into this Kidoozle and Food Electric, which both did not do well. But there was an automat in Philly up until the 80s where you could actually go and you take a piece of pie, and somebody
The
would
classic.
put another, yeah,
Right? Classic
Horner, I
automat. You
think
put the
they were.
dime in
Yeah.
and, yeah.
So yeah,
We had one in New York. The very last one was 3rd Avenue and 40-something. And by then it was not what it was before
Right.
that. You know, it was like, and there have been some great documentaries about the automats in general and what, like what a democratic place it was. And you could always get a good meal there. It was not that expensive. Yeah. Time's
Is there
gone
anything
by,
you miss?
right?
Any old restaurants you miss from that day, or fast food or anything? No longer
Well,
exists?
we skated all by that, right? We never got to enjoy the automat, and no, not really. I can't think of anything for you.
There was a small. Well, I think it was small. It was similar to a McDonald's, I guess, or a Burger King. It was in Southern Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, called Wetsons. Wettsons, and they had a great hamburger. At least as a little kid, I thought it was. And my grandmother, as a treat, we'd get to sneak over there and get a Wetsons hamburger. She never understood. They started doing the trays where you would do. You go there and you get the tray. And one time I was visiting my grandmother in high school, and I was like, "Nan, where'd you get all these trays from?" She goes, "Oh, you get them when you go to Wetsons." I said, she goes, "They give them to you when you carry your food out." I said, so she would carry the food out to the car in this tray and keep the tray. She never told them it was to go, whatever, so they would put it on the tray as if she was eating inside. God, she must have had 100 trays.
Well, as kids, you must have always had perfect sleds.
Well, that's
Used the
in
trays
college.
in
That's what
winter.
we used. We did that.
Yeah,
You probably
the
did that
dining
in
room
Binghamton.
We did that too. Yeah,
Yeah, take the trays out of
when
the
in
dining
doubt.
hall and slide down the hill.
Yeah. Is Jimmy's of Savin Rock still around? Jimmy's.
I
Savin Rock.
can't imagine why it wouldn't be, right?
That was Tim and I used to go there in high school. Also, I want to say it was Pepe's, and it was.
Oh
at
yeah,
New
no,
Haven.
that's still there. Yeah, that's an
Pizza.
institution. Yeah.
These are things I would miss if they weren't around. I would definitely miss Friendly's if it wasn't around. Not that I've eaten there in a long time, but just knowing what the Friendly's experience is all about,
Let's see. Jimmy's of Savin Rock is still there, John. 5 Rock Road, West Haven, Connecticut. Savin Rock Pie.
Best
Jimmy's.
fried clams. I think that's the first place I ever had fried clams.
Jimmy's of Savin Rock. We got to get over there next
Yeah,
time.
next
they got a
time you
prime
and I are-
rib. They got a prime rib, and they got health.
I went there with Tim. I think this was either the orange Vega or the white Scirocco.
Oh, it had to
I
be
forget
the
which
orange. No,
car
it
you
had
were
to be,
driving.
had to be the orange.
We were with
Vega.
Mary Ann. We went down to Jimmy's, and I had fried clams for the first time, and I loved them. And I just remember the paper container they came in after we were done. It was just one big
Soggy.
grease spot.
They have a takeout too. I mean, we just, I miss those things. The one place I want to go to, which I can't believe we never went, was the place where they invented the hamburger, which is Louis in New Haven.
Louis in New Haven. That's right.
I don't know if I've never been there.
Tim, you have never done that. Crazy.
Maybe that should be a trip. You and I should go back and do a trip of our state that we never ever,
The Nutmeg Tour.
the nutmeg tour that we never had.
Because we lived there. Now we don't, and we could do a nutmeg tour.
Well, that snack bar that's in town, we used to call it Cedar Hollow, but then now it's called Denmo's Snack Bar. But it's one of the top 10 roadside attractions in America now in terms of food, roadside food, which,
Seriously?
they always had a good chili dog, and they did have good clams. My mother actually went there the other day to go to the clam bar and got some fried clams.
Oh, my God. See, these are the things. Like, I don't know about, I didn't shop at Piggly Wiggly when I was a kid, or we didn't do Automat, but these are the places I would miss, right?
Yeah. So next time
There
you
you
come
go.
through, John, you'll have to get off Get off exit 14 and then head
Yeah.
through Southbury. Stop at the Denmo's. Get yourself a lobster roll or chili dog.
They have lobster rolls at Denmo.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks
Some of the best.
Next time I visit my mom, I might stop and pick her one up because she loves a good lobster roll.
Well, it's one of the best, and it's filled with a lot of lobster meat. And my dad was swore by it. And it's Connecticut lobster roll, which is different than the lobster rolls in the rest of the country. We don't use mayonnaise.
I've
butter.
always wanted the best lobster roll in the world. I've always wanted that.
Expect to get it.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm imitating my mom. All right, at the top of the show, I mentioned our shop talk, and the headline. It's an article from Inc. magazine that Tim found. It's called "Having Trouble Going to Sleep? One Simple Tweak May Change That." I'm not sure how much I agree with the one simple tweak as being the only thing that would permanently make you fall asleep faster, but it is a good one. So basically, the article talks about how Ariana Huffington talks about getting to sleep at night and how she, eventually does a book called The Sleep Revolution. And she identifies the big sleep problem that many people face, and that is that when we watch TV or engage on the computer or our tablets, we're being bombarded with blue light. That's the nature of these of these screens. That's what they project, and it apparently keeps us alert and awake enough that you would not fall asleep right away when you get into bed and have trouble falling asleep, and your brain starts racing the whole thing. So her recommendation is 0 screen time before you go to bed, and that would be TV and all this other stuff. Or what I do, my iPad, for example, is set up to automatically switch to something called night mode after 7 o'clock. I think it literally makes the screen more yellow and warmer in tone. I have not had problems falling asleep lately. When I do, it's usually because I'm obsessing about something I have to do the next day. Is that the same with you?
Yeah, it is. There were two things. The first one I thought, kind of as a sidebar, what happened to Ariana Huffington? I mean, she used to be like dog poop. She was on everything. She used to be
all
everywhere.
over the place, yeah.
And then she seems to have, so when I saw her name, I kind of laughed when I saw her name in the article because I thought, boy, she used to be on everywhere.
Like Faith Popcorn.
As a pundit, right? And then she's kind of disappeared. I'm guilty of the TV one. I used to always, I think when I would travel so much, I would put the TV on in the hotel room and fall asleep. A lot of people don't like that. I've had a number of friends that can't sleep unless the room is totally almost pitch dark, black, ink black, and no noise. And to me, I like to have a little noise. When I hear no noise, I start thinking someone's in the house because I hear it creaking. So I'd rather not hear somebody come in. So I put the TV on. But I know when I go to my mom's house, there's no TV or anything in the bedrooms, and I'll take my iPad in sometimes and try to read. But I'm like you. Mine is shut down. I also have all the bing bangs and the notifications shut off at
Turned
9
off.
o'clock. So I don't hear any noise from them at 9 o'clock where somebody has sent a text. Or it's usually some sort of unwanted text that comes in from somebody trying to sell me something. But so I do shut that down. I wonder, though, they said that this is almost just like shutting down in general, though, right? Because you could sit with a book and read with a light.
Yeah.
But I guess it's a different light than the blue light. They said the blue light that comes off these screens affects the development of melatonin,
Yep.
which is natural in the body to help you sleep. Have you ever taken melatonin?
Yeah, I did. It was one of those things that you learned when you and I were younger. We were doing a lot of business travel. You'd pick this up from road warriors and stuff, like, because you would be flying into a city for one night only, and everybody, take melatonin. Never really liked it, and people would. Then I heard about, like, was it melatonin? Then L-tryptophan was another one, which was that ingredient in turkey or something. None of these things worked. Actually, one time I was traveling with you, and I said, I'm going to have trouble falling asleep, and you said, you should keep the TV on. I said, no. I never sleep with the TV. And you said, well, maybe keep it on and you can't see it, but make the volume really, really low so you can barely hear it. And that actually does the trick for me. Sometimes if I just have that distraction, I can doze off. Is that the same?
Yeah, I believe so. When I had a lot of knee pain, it just was I had trouble sleeping. So I went. You'll love this. I should post this on our Facebook page. So it said there's the sure way the Brits have been sleeping for years and decades, and it's essentially something similar like the shipping news. And so around all of the ports of the UK, they have this very kind of dry PBS thing of by the north third, fourth barometer, latitude 347, rain showers. Rain showers today, rain showers tomorrow on the fourth perimeter of the fifth wound of the... And it's it's very monotone. I'm not doing it justice, but I screamed. And it gives this weather of these different areas all around, the huge island of England, and it did put me to sleep. So
Buoy number 6 reports.
Yes.
Barometric
Gale
pressure.
winds at 4 meters high, sea levels to be warned on the third latitude of the fifth night of the sunrise. It's like...
This is why you're calling it the shipping news, because it's not necessarily the shipping news, but it's the port weather. Like the
it was all.
sailing
Yes,
and-
exactly. You're right. It was. I'll find it and post it just because it. Hey, it may help somebody go to sleep.
So Tim, that's kind of like a sort of a very quirky white noise generator.
Yes. Yes, you're exactly. Or you see those little app things where it's the sound of the ocean or the sound of leaves rustling or a fire crackling or something to that effect. But I took melatonin the other night, and I had this wild dream. I wish I should write them down, but essentially I was with I want to say I was with Elton John, and we were being chased by panthers, and which made
Zero sense
to anything, and we were trying to get into some sort of place. But yeah, I don't like melatonin because it does kind of make me a little bit loopy, I guess. I was using CBD for a while. We had that CBD that I liked. I think Bob liked it as well.
He
But
does.
We can't. I couldn't find it anymore because it was in Colorado.
They gave him melatonin when he was in the hospital recently. They gave it to him late at night too, so the next morning it made him feel out of it. Just kind of like not completely there. I like this idea of what you've landed on, though, like the weather report from around the UK, because it's white. As I said, it's white noise, but it's the kind of thing that, as you were saying that, I'm reminded of the fact that sometimes if I want to go to sleep, if I put on a TV show, an old show, like if you put on Happy Days or, I Dream of Jeannie, like we know or even I Love Lucy, you don't even have to see it because you just know it so well that it lulls you into...
Yeah. Yeah, you and I could do stand-in. You could do stand-in some of those. Or you could watch your old Star Trek.
Oh, I could, yeah.
You could say them in your sleep. So that was our shop talk for the week. So what we'll do though is I will post that UK shipping to our Facebook page, which is Focus Group Radio. So, hey, thanks for joining us today. Thank you, John, for helming the ship here to produce the show for us each week, as you do. Thanks to all of you for listening. Thanks to our friends at Deep Discount. Be sure to head over to focusgroupradio.com. Click on the Deep Discount logo. Start shopping away. I had picked this week during the Cult and Indie Film Classic sale, Best in Show. John picked What We Do in the Shadows, and the new release is Fast X. While you're also at focusgroupradio.com, be sure to tune in to our podcast, which is released every Tuesday, TFG Unbuttoned. So we hope all of you are having a good and safe summer season. Don't text and drive. Arrive alive, and we'll see you next time here in the Focus Group.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.